A prescription drug abuse forum and a meet and greet for Hyannis residents on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Monday, March 5th, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. The Greater Hyannis Civic Association is inviting residents of Hyannis and beyond to join them tonight at Town Hall. The GHCA is holding a meet and greet with the counselors that represent the village of Hyannis. The meeting begins at 7 o'clock this evening in the second floor hearing room at Barnstable Town Hall. Also at 7 this evening, State Rep Randy Hunt is hosting an important and informational forum relating to the problem of prescription drug abuse. We spoke with Representative Hunt on this morning's episode of Barnstable This Morning. Of course, we've been talking about this for several weeks now. It's the big night at Sandwich High School for the Forum on Prescription Drug Abuse. Talk to me a little bit about the forum, Randy.
A really important outreach effort on the behalf of the committee up at the State House on mental health and substance abuse. I'm a member of that committee. We're going to have the two chairmen down, Liz Malia, who is from Jamaica Plain, and she is a representative, and the Senate chairman, John Keenan, who's out of Quincy. They'll both be down along with several other people on the committee itself and some people in the administration, as well as representatives from Gosnell, Cape Cod, the Sheriff's Department, and a representative, Lisa Murphy from Mashpee, who has a parent support group. All of this has to do with prescription drug abuse and some of the things that the legislature is working on to try and get a handle on this big problem, as well as some of the techniques in interdiction and treatment of addictions, and a pilot program going on out at the county lockup for people that are finishing their sentences who want to stay clean. So lots of information about the topic. It'll be an hour and a half plus time for questions, 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. At Sandwich High School tonight. Sandwich High School is just north of the exit 3 on Route 6, so it's very easy to get to. Big parking lot. Will be in the auditorium there. And
that's right on Quaker Meeting House Road, correct?
On Quaker Meeting House Road, 365 Quaker Meeting House Road, if you want to punch it into your GPS system.
Exactly. And as you said, Randy, really a lot of information for people. Of course, I think many of us are aware of the widespread problem of prescription drug abuse, how it's been growing and changing over the years, and the implications it has not only on those that it touches directly, but also really widespread throughout the community. And in addition to that information, people can learn about the issue itself, about what some of the solutions that are already in place, but also a good chance to discuss and to share some solutions.
That's exactly right. We're pushing this as an evening of solutions because we do have a number of things that are teed up for tonight that are new, different, and will affect, hopefully in a very positive way, this problem. The bill that we're going to talk about is Senate 2125, and by the way, you can read all about this if you if you're on the internet, type in Randy Hunt blog, B-L-O-G. Just Google that, and you'll find the blog very quickly, and the first article on there has all of this information, lots of background information as well, including a complete summary of this Senate Bill 2125 that is called an Act Relative to Prescription Drug Diversion, Abuse, and Addiction. That bill has passed the Senate, has not passed the House yet, hasn't been on the floor for a vote, but hopefully it will be very soon. We would like to see this be put in place as quickly as possible.
Sure, and this bill, Randy, not only whereas it's billed as the prescription drug abuse bill, it's as you have called it in the past, an omnibus bill, also dealing with other items such as those treatments you were mentioning that are being piloted at the county lockup here in Barnstable, as well as dealing with things like bath salts that we heard so much about in the late summer.
Yeah, that problem of quote bath salts, because they aren't really bath salts. They are 16 different chemical combinations that people are using for recreational purposes, and very dangerously as well. Those aren't prescription drugs, obviously, but this bill does pick up a separate bill that was filed this past summer to make those bath salts illegal. So we'll be talking about that as well and covering all the various aspects of the bill. Probably the biggest piece of it is the prescription monitoring program, which is a database that has up to now been voluntary for prescribers, but will become mandatory as of January 1 of next year for the 30% of prescribers of opiate drugs who prescribe 80% or 90% actually of those drugs. It will become mandatory, and within 3 years it'll be mandatory for all prescribers.
Exactly. And talk to me a little bit more about your experience working with this issue, Randy, of course, as a member of the Joint Committee on Mental Health and Substance Abuse. Have you had a chance to interact with people from our region who have been touched by this problem?
Well, I certainly have. This was one of the issues that when I initially ran for state rep, it was in my top priorities. So I requested to be on this committee. I was able to do that. Happy to serve on the committee. And shortly after I got into office, we started having hearings about these number of bills that have been consolidated into Senate 2125. So a lot of testimony up at on Beacon Hill, but as well I spoke at a committee, it's actually a support group that I mentioned earlier, of Lisa Murphy in Mashpee, and at that meeting there were probably between 20 and 25 parents learning about the issue, supporting each other because they had kids who were addicts, and just listening to what they were saying over an hour-and-a-half meeting was, it really brought a lot of this issue to me in a way that I hadn't seen it before. You can read about it in the newspaper, but when you're talking directly with the parents who are dealing with addictions of their children, it is a powerful experience.
It certainly is, and really, you know, the problem is so serious, I think, Randy, because of how addictive these substances are. It's you know, it's one of those things where it's readily available if those drugs happen to be in the home of a friend, in the home of a relative, and then it can just you know, really change your life in a negative way.
You are exactly right. The speed at which these opiate drugs create an addiction with people is amazing. Even after just taking, some people after taking pills that are prescribed, the way that they're prescribed end up with a very severe addiction. So it is dangerous. We need to know more about it. And just to give you perspective, the Centers of Disease Control in Atlanta estimate that about 7 million people in the United States use these opioid drugs like OxyContin, Percocets, things like that, as recreational drugs, not medicinally. 7 million people. They also estimate that relative to that, only 1.5 million people use cocaine and heroin. And the number of deaths from prescription drug abuse far outweighs the number of overdose deaths that are related to cocaine and heroin. It's an amazing statistic.
Absolutely an amazing statistic. So further important for people to be aware of this issue and come join you and the rest of the speakers and interested people at Sandwich High School tonight. And again, you know, really, I think, Randy, you're looking for anyone in the community who has an interest or maybe even who's not as educated as they should be on this issue to come out tonight to Sandwich High School to listen, to get informed, and share possible solutions.
It's a big problem. I invite everybody out to listen to what we're going to be discussing and to come out and ask questions about it, too. We'll have available time for that. 7 o'clock, Sandwich High School, exit 3 off of Route 6.
Lastly, some news from Barnstable this morning, the town's morning news and information program. The show is now 2 hours long. The inaugural expanded show aired this morning. New guests to the lineup include the MSPCA, the Cape Cod Young Professionals, a new health and wellness segment, a reporter's roundtable discussion, and more. Tune in every weekday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. for Barnstable This Morning. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.